then we will start. Waiting for Zoom. We should be seeing it in a second. And here we go. Okay, come on, Zoom. You can do it. Come on, LinkedIn. You can do it. Here we go. Okay, everybody. Let's wave hello to LinkedIn, wave hello to Facebook, Meta, wave hello to YouTube. I'm still not seeing us, but oh, there we are. Okay, we're on the, okay. Jordan, let's hit the music. We're ready.
Right, have a great show.
Thank you. Everybody dance with me. Come on, Andy, let's see that rhythm.
Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
akaRadioRed in the house. Happy to be here. My goodness, is it almost the middle of August 2024? We couldn't wait for 2022 to be over. We couldn't wait for 2023 to get here. And now we're zooming in many different ways, pun intended, toward the end of 2024. Happy to be here. Those of you who are on LinkedIn probably saw my post today talking about there's probably a few tomatoes left in my garden and I'm going to enjoy them, but it's Monday and I'm here talking to creatives. I have three wonderful people and I have to welcome them because these three lovely, very smart and interesting creatives are with the first group I met a few weeks ago at the latest virtual National Publicity Summit. And I only invited 38 people from the summit this time. I think my record was 43 about a year ago. So I don't know. It's slow times. Anyway, this is where I talk to interesting people about what they create, their life, their lifestyle, their career, their family, their home. Do they have passions? Are they an artist? Are they a singer? Do they like to cook? Do they like to draw? Do they have patients in some kind of a professional practice who need help making progress? We have one who's going to talk about that. Do they have their own radio show? Oh my, I have competition. What can I tell you? That's what we're going to talk about today. Before we really get started, guests, I need you to help me out with making the shape of the letter L with your fingers, please. So Cathy, Martha, and Andrew, please make the shape of the letter L. And on the count of three, exactly as I say it, we're going to say hello, L, 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 just like that. Let's see if you can do it. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. Okay, Jordan, my engineer, put them in for a tie for first place for the most coordinated. And you're all wondering, and Andrew's looking at me like, what in the heck is she talking about? LLL is a lady named Lovely Lanky Laura Legs, who was our most loyal listener. And Andrew, you know there's a lot of L alliterations in there. I've been trying to get her to move to a place that started with an L, but she lives in Whitestone, New York, and she just won't leave. But I moved to Loudon, Tennessee, and I'm still trying to get her to visit. Maybe she'll move here. So we'll all work on that. Thank you very much. This is the 12th of August. My goodness, the 224th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. Used to be the Julian calendar, but he skipped a lot of days, and Gregorian said, aha, there's something I want to innovate. And he changed the calendar. 141 days left. It's the 33rd Monday, and nobody cares about that except me. So I have my opening monologue in the form of a poem, and I'm going to read it. And when I say your name, I want you to wave at everybody who's watching you, okay? So here we go. Welcome to Read My Lips, where creativity takes flight. Cool conversations with creatives, a roundtable of delight. With host akaRadioRed, that's me, whose words just, flow on her Scarlett mic in the live streaming glow. On today's episode, The Lightness of Creativity, Cathy, that's for you. We will reveal what three guest creatives think and say for real. Cathy Kennedy, RDN, wave hello. A dietitian with a vision so clear, brings wisdom to the table, her passion sincere. From corporate wellness to changing the gut's role, she uses art to help people take back control. What'd you think, Cathy?
That's good.
Okay, I rent the poems out. We'll talk later. Martha, pronounce the last name for me again.
Burich.
Martha Burich, M.Ed, with passion fueling her zest helps parents raise kids to be happy, not stressed. From classrooms to kitchens, her knowledge is vast. She's teaching life lessons designed to last and last. Martha, did you like that?
Fabulous. That was absolutely fabulous.
And then we have Dr. Andrew Winkler. Wave hello. A prodigy from the start. His inventions and insights set him apart. From doggy bomber jackets to podcasts that inspire, Andrew embodies creativity with a mind that just won't tire. Andrew, what'd you think?
Very
Cool?
nice.
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
So join us, dear audience, on our creative quest with me, akaRadioRed, bringing you her best, my best, the lightness of creativity on this August 12th day. We hope to inspire you to live large and play. What'd y'all think? Pretty cool?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Full disclaimer, I input your bios. You all got 1,000 characters in your bio into ChatGPT, my tool. And I said, find the important parts of their bios and put it into 4 lines for each guest. And then I spend hours editing that and going back to your bios and say, I want it to be really, really good. And we add the little rhymes at the end. So anybody want to guess how long it took ChatGPT to give me the core, not my editing time, but the core? If you listen to the show, Martha, you can't guess because you know the answer. Andy, minutes or seconds? How long did it take the tool to give me back the core of the poem? What do you think?
I'm guessing seconds.
How many?
Let's go with 3.
Okay. Cathy, how many?
I'm going to say 2 seconds.
Okay. Martha knows the answer. It's approximately 1.25 seconds. It's that fast.
Wow.
Nice.
But I put in, okay, Andrew, your entire bio, Cathy, your entire bio, Martha, your entire bio. It literally, it's this long on the page. And I hit the submit button, and before I can blink, the core of that poem is there, and I am impressed. I'm very friendly with the chat. Yes, we have a good comment. I actually I call it a her. I thanked her in French last week. And she started a conversation with me in French. My French is a little rusty, but I got most of it. And I said, I'm smiling. And she said, I'm going to plaisir. And we were going back and forth. And she said, if you need help for anything. And we were just going back and forth just like that. And so I have a new French pal there. What can I say? So now it's time. My audience would love to know more about each of you. So we're going to go around the table, try to condense. Andrew, this is the hard part of my show. The hardest part is to condense all of the creative things you've ever done in your entire life into about 3 minutes. I'm sorry. We don't have time for 12 years to talk to Andrew and 5 years for Cathy and 18 years for Martha. It's all equals out. So here's the deal. I'm going to put each of you on full screen speaker view, Cathy Kennedy first. And if you see me doing this in the background, it means I'm not on camera and you are. And let's start to wind it down. Okay. Very graciously. So let's do the bios, then we'll do the quotes, and then we'll talk about your creativity. Cathy Kennedy, delighted. You were the first one I met at the summit a few weeks ago. And I said, you're coming on my show. And you said, what? So here you are. Go ahead, Cathy. You're speaking. Tell us who you are, please.
Okay, I'm Cathy Kennedy. I'm a registered dietitian with 40 years experience. Nutrition was my passion before it was my profession. I spent time as a pioneer, sort of, in the area of corporate wellness back when no one else was doing it. I've spent time with the American Heart Association as Director of Education. I was ambassador to the See Everett Koop Shape Up America program. I was advised and consulted with the CDC for a bit of time when I was on the inner circle, what I call the inner circle. And then I traveled the nation, seeing people one-on-one with a white coat on, from Hugo, Oklahoma to Hawaii, Washington, D.C. to Washington State. And I got to see what people really felt and thought. And then I said, there's a gap between the people that know and the people that need to know. So I considered it my mission to try to help bridge that gap.
And here you are. Well, thank you so much, Cathy. I was delighted to meet you. And I have to say, can everybody, we have a little round of applause for those glasses Cathy is wearing. Come on. Those have to be some of the rockinest glasses I've ever had on Read My Lips radio. Cathy, where did you find them? Not giving an advertisement, but where did you get those glasses? Seriously.
There's a cosmetic place here in Atlanta called Woo Cosmetics, and they're just readers, from
Really?
I can't tell you exactly who they're by, but they are readers. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a creative branding you just did there, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Martha, you're up next. I'm putting you on speaker. Would you please regale us with who you are, your background, and what's your creativity? Martha, welcome.
Welcome. Well, let me tell you, I think I was born believing mom loved my brothers best. And it has pretty much identified me for all the 70 years of my life. Even though I knew better, I couldn't do better, and I constantly had to outdo them. My brother Billy was so creative. What was I, chop liver? My brother Al, oh my God, he's a genius. He's a genius, my mother would say. But he is a genius. He made a robot when he was 10. He took a television apart, put it back together when he was 16. How could I compare with them? Well, guess what, Mom? I was the first one in my family to go to college, and I am all but dissertation, even though I don't put that down. And so my mother was very, very proud of that, and she always wanted me to be a teacher. So guess what? I became a college professor and a high school teacher. And you know what I do with that information and that everything I've learned through that? Well, of course, it's helped me with my book. Yes, you can raise happy, responsible children. And I do have a child of my own. But I also go to jails and treatment centers every week to help the addicts and alcoholics, because I figured, you know what? Who could do the job better than a former high school teacher to go into the jail and to talk with the addicts and alcoholics and the inmates? So yes, that's pretty much me. I have 2 dogs, they're rescues, and I just am loving this whole book. And now it's almost ready. It'll be ready in about 3 weeks. It'll be published. Jack Canfield has endorsed it. His endorsement is the entire back. I've walked on fire 3 times. I'm kind of an adventurer. You know, I had to outdo my brothers somehow. So I walked on fire 3 times. I've ridden 100 miles on a bicycle in one day. Yep. So there you have it. There's Martha in a nutshell.
Martha's creating a life of creativity. I don't think you need to worry about competing with your brothers. You're very outstanding all on your own, dear Martha. So you're just doing fine. And we're delighted to have you here. And bravo on the work you're doing with the prisons. Very important. I'm sure they appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Dr. Andrew Winkler, I can't wait to hear your story. I met you at the summit and I said, what? Say what? Say what? And here you are. I was so happy you accepted my invitation. So Andrew, putting you on speaker view, tell us all about yourself, please.
All about me. Yeah. So my name is Andrew Winkler, and probably the most creative thing I've ever done was I was playing around with some mathematics. My background is sort of mathematics with some physics, and the math is thought in terms of these branches that really don't seem to have a whole lot. I mean, there are lots of interconnections, but they're really kind of separate things. But it turns out they're actually all part of the same thing. And I saw a way that you can start with this little structure, and as you analyze it and pick it apart and understand all the pieces that make it up, all the various branches just kind of fall out from it. So I started out as a physics student. I switched into mathematics, or gravitated into mathematics, I guess, and spent some time as a math professor at Stanford and Columbia. And then I was at a math conference, and when I came home, my wife at the time met me at the airport with a 6-week-old border collie puppy, and that led to coming up with ideas for pet products. She was the designer. Usually my complaining would give rise to some sort of solution. And so I ended up selling bomber jacks to dogs for a while. And then when that grew and grew wildly and grew out of control and sort of took over my life. But then we did a licensing deal, so I didn't really have to be involved very much anymore. And I started doing some IT kinds of projects. I won't get too into the weeds on those. But as a part of that, I was recruited up to San Francisco, which is where I live now, and spent time sort of half time here and time also in the Sierras, which I just came back from this morning.
Are you okay? I hear there was a 4.4 earthquake in the LA area about an hour ago. It's on the news.
Yeah, I heard about that too. What I was hearing is it was like Pasadena somewhere, which is where I was living when I came up to San Francisco.
LA.
Um,
LA outside Pasadena, according to the Geological
okay,
Survey. It was
all right.
felt across Southern Cal, reports shaking from Bakersfield to San Diego. Just reading that. I want to
So
say I'm
it's
glad you're okay.
yeah, thank you. It's a bit far from here, to
Okay.
feel.
Okay. I have friends who have children and grandchildren there, and they're getting phone calls right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, I hope you're safe. Thank you, Andrew.
Hmm.
Delighted to meet you. Thank you so much. Let's go to the part of the show where I've asked each of you to send me a fictional quote from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show or a song lyric. And I'm going to read the quote with a little bit of background. I love to do my research. And then I'll ask you to relate it to how you consider yourself creative. That's fine. And just so you know, this show is not about singers and dancers and authors and poets and artists. It's about real people who create their life. That's what we're all doing. So here we go. Cathy Kennedy has picked a quote from CIA case officer Nathan D. Muir, played by Robert Redford. Be Still My Heart. The movie is Spy Game 2001. That goes back a while. Action thriller film directed by Tony Scott with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Oh my. It's a co-production of it's an American, French, German, Japanese co-production. It only earned $62 million on and 143 million, and the budget was 115. It we received mostly positive reviews. Quick overview. 1991, the US and China are close to a major trade agreement. Oh my. And the president is due to visit China to seal the deal. We'll just leave it there. Here's the quote Nathan Muir says. Correct. Dinner out is a go. Okay, Cathy, I have no idea what this means. I have a lot of research and I'd love to read it, but it'd take up too much time. So, Cathy, what does this have to do? First of all, what's the scene? And second of all, what does this have to do with your creativity? Go
Okay,
ahead.
well, Robert Redford was getting ready to leave the CIA. He was getting ready to retire, but he was trying to rescue Brad Pitt, who was overseas, and he wasn't supposed to be doing it. He was using some of his own money as well as the CIA. So he was in a meeting with all the CIA people, and he had to have a code. So they called in when it was time for everything to go, and the code was Operation Dinner Out. So it sounded like he was talking to his wife, and they all said, no wonder he's getting a divorce. Operation Dinner Out to go. My husband and I had just loved that. Why do I like it? Why does it appeal to it's creative, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, he made everything work. And, that's the bottom line. You make it work. Creativity makes something work. That's why I use it in my practice, is because I'm trying to transform people. So you have to get creative so that people can actually learn. Science is hard and it can be off-putting. So if you can do fun things like I do with ghrelin the gremlin, the hunger hormone in the gut is ghrelin. Well, you say ghrelin to people, they want to, it's like a tofu turnoff. So you say ghrelin the gremlin, and all of a sudden he becomes a little character that you can actually beat. I don't know if that's an answer. Is that the answer you want?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's anything that reminds you of creativity. And we'll talk later about the art you use in your office, Cathy, which I haven't stopped talking about that since you told me about it. Thank you so much. Let's go to Martha Burich. And Martha has picked a line from the song Truck Bed. New to me, kid. Song co-written and recorded by American singer Hardy just last year. It was released in May 2023 as the fourth single from his second studio album, Knocky Bird and the Crow, written by Hardy, Ashley Gorley, Ben Johnson, and Hunter Phelps, produced by Joey Moy. It's his second highest charting single in the U.S. The main theme is the narrator waking up in the bed of his truck after becoming intoxicated and expressing his anger at his situation. We'll leave it there, and there's a music video as well. Here's the line Martha has picked. I woke up on the right side of the bed this morning. Oh, Martha, talk to us. I love the quote.
Well, from the song, it's I woke up on the wrong side of the truck bed this morning with a bone-dry bottle of Jack I was pouring. Guess she got some nerve because she kicked me to the curb. You could say I got what I deserve. I thought, Martha, and I'm singing that all the time. I'm singing that all the time. And I'm like, Martha, you can't sing that. That is not positive. You've got to change that line. So I woke up on the right side of the bed this morning with a gratitude list in my head. I guess I've got some nerve, and I sure do deserve, because I'm awfully happy every day.
I love it. I love it. Thank you very much. So you changed that line for me, right? Okay. I didn't know that, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let me go to Andrew. And Andrew, let's get you on speaker view here. Andrew has picked a quote from Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, of course, American fantasy drama TV series created by David Benioff and D.B. White for HBO, an adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire, a series of fantasy novels by George R.R. Martin, the first of which is A Game of Thrones. Let me read this line and you can fill us in, Andrew. That's what I do. I drink and I know things. Oh, Andrew, tell us about this, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the character Tyrion Lannister it is a dwarf, which meant that his father really never accepted him. But at the same time, because he was a Lannister, he always sort of, fiercely defended his prerogatives. And so he had a very complicated relationship there. But he ended up being in an advisory role throughout. And most of the time, the I drink and I know things sort of reflected his a certain playfulness that he had in going about life that on the one hand made him really valuable, but on the other hand, kind of made him miserable too. And so I don't know why I picked that.
Come on, relate it to yourself, Andrew. Give me a break here. Come on, that was the assignment. You know that.
Yeah. It isn't true anymore that I drink, but I do know things, and I approach things with that same sort of playfulness, which is really creativity is intimately connected with, inseparable from play, and so that's kind of the wellspring.
Well put. And Peter Dinklage, of course, plays Lannister. So I didn't say that in the beginning. Thank you very much. Very interesting selections from the three of you. Andrew, I have a question for you. This is really bothering me. Don't take it personally, but what is your microphone? It is just absolutely, it's as gorgeous as Cathy's glasses. What are you on today? Come on.
You actually want a plug for the
I just want to know what brand it is because it looks like a corn cob. It's gorgeous, but it's sparkly.
The brand is Shure, Shure.
I know the brand.
And it's what's called a ribbon microphone. It's basically a way of cheating. It makes your voice sound really
resonant.
Yeah. It really enhances the vocal quality.
Well, this is part of my brand. I know you have your own show, Dr. Andy, you call yourself. My Scarlett Solo mic, my USB Scarlett Solo is by Focusrite. This is part of my brand. And so all of my promotions say akaRadioRed on her Scarlett mic in the live streaming light. And I have made her, I haven't talked about the flower yet, but I've made her part of my brand. So I was just wondering, that looks like a great big giant corn cob, doesn't it, Cathy? And
it does. I love it.
I'm wondering where the butter is. I'm cutting back on salt right now, Cathy. I'm having to work on it. Compression socks and a lot of water. You know what I'm talking about.
If I get hungry,
if there's less of that mic left at the end of the show, we'll know Andy missed dinner. Okay. Thank you all for the quotes. I appreciate it. Let's go to your creativity statements. We got plenty of time. I hope you're all having fun so far. I am. Listen, let's do this. I'm going to pick at least one from each of you. I'm going to read it, and then I want you to expand it, unpack it. And here's the deal. I'll pick one from Cathy because it's been on my mind. You know I'm going to talk about Cathy. And then if Martha or may I call you Andy? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Martha or Andy want to say anything, if it's relevant to you, if it resonates with you, if there's anything you want to say, I think you each have 5 fingers on each hand. Okay, pick one of the nice fingers, not the middle one. I don't answer that, but wiggle one of your polite fingers to me, and I will call on you, and you'll get about a minute to respond. You don't have to say anything. It's not a challenge to Cathy, but it's a complimentary comment, like,
Mm.
"Oh, that makes me think of," something like that. So let's see
Uh-huh.
where this goes, because you're in the round table now. Okay, Cathy says, I'm creative with how I designed my practice office using the same paintings I used in my ads and more. Clients often forget I am in the room as they talk from the feelings elicited from the paintings. And I know you commissioned the late artist Pierce Everett to do the paintings, hand painted. Okay, Cathy, I've been waiting weeks to have you talk about this because I told my therapist about this too, but we're on
Oh,
Zoom. I'm waiting for him to put pictures in his office on the Zoom screen.
okay.
Okay, Cathy, you're up. Tell us about this, please.
Can I show one of them?
I would love it. Go ahead.
It's right here, so I'm going to bring it up.
Bring it up. Okay, what are we looking at?
Can you see it?
Yep, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. That's on leaving sadness. This is the book,
Hmm.
the painting on leaving sadness. This is the one that I've used in my ads. And I would have a print of it with me, like at Starbucks or something. And people would literally come up to me and go, "Oh, you do understand." People would
Oh,
come into my office and literally cry.
oh.
Now, I can't take any credit for that, right? I mean, I just knew that it, it because I know my audience, and
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why I even write, because when I travel the nation and I could see the pain in people's eyes, I know the pain that people, that's not a lighthearted thing, but there is a lot of pain. And so I started using the art because I knew it reached them. They say that when people are in too much pain, words don't even get through to them. So I kind of stumbled on it when I started getting the reactions of people. I had other art in the room as well, and people literally forgot that I was in the room. They would speak from the painting. I've done it where I have used it on like Zoom during COVID. Same thing. One guy that ended up losing 100 pounds, couldn't get him past go for the longest time, but he spoke from one of my paintings and he kept seeing himself in there. That same painting, at the very end of about a 6-month time of seeing a client, I decided to ask her, what do you think was the key? What was the key? When did you really feel like you changed, when there was a turning point? And that particular painting was above on the wall, right, really above us. And she pointed to the painting. She said, that painting, it said, I had a choice, and the choice, I had to make the choice. So I have learned that the artwork kind of takes off and has a whole life of its own apart from me. And the best thing I can do for a lot of my clients is to offer that.
If that's not creative, I don't know what is. I've never heard of anything like that before. Andrew or Martha, any comments? Anything resonate with you? Andrew, go ahead. All right, and then Martha. Andrew first, please.
It reminded me of some playing with sand tray, which, if you're not familiar with that, you
No.
basically you take a tray and you paint the bottom blue, and you fill it with sand.
Hmm.
And then you can also take little figurines, little tchotchkes, to populate this sand world. And there are various ways that you can use it, but one way that relates to kind of some personality stuff is that there can be like a motif of conflict. And if there is, you can just intensify the conflict. Or there might be fear, in which case you can make it scarier.
What
Uh,
do you do with it? Do you shake the sand or do you make drawings in it? Or what do you do with the sand once you put it in the blue tray, Andrew?
you sculpt the sand,
Okay.
so you make out of it whatever landscape you like. The reason there's blue at the bottom is so you can create water if you want,
Interesting.
little ponds or lakes or rivers and so on, and um, and these little figurines you can arrange however you like. And in some ways it lets you externalize whatever's going on like inside your head. And then once it's externalized, you can manipulate it. And by intensifying whatever kind of is dysfunctional in it, you can kind of activate the balance restoring things that we all have inside us. And so that
Interesting.
was something that I found really powerful.
Thank you.
And it,
I was going to say Martha wants to chime in, and then we'll go back to Cathy. I want to keep this going. Martha, what do you think?
Well, the way that I saw the painting is when we're leaving sadness, we're also going towards happiness, excuse me, contentment, peace, putting the sadness behind us and going towards something better. I think that's such a wonderful visual of that, the walking away and going towards, because the person's going toward the light. Is that right?
Yes, and in fact, the artist
Yeah.
had an inscription of it, and then he said something like, "Emotions trap us in deep places, but as we look to the light, basically we go to hope." So he was
Right. Hope.
instructing us to do that, to
And
go
you know what I see? I see permission to
Yeah.
go to the light. I see the light is saying, I'm here. Follow me. It's okay.
Oh, pulling and wooing you.
You have permission.
Ah,
The door is opening. Go through it. That's what I see. Andrew, you wanted to say something else?
not that I can think of. That
Okay.
I just
Okay.
would, the whole motif of art, doing art is also kind of a therapeutic thing as well as being
Completely.
exposed to it.
Completely. Absolutely. Cathy, go ahead.
I was just going to, I just found this quote and I just thought it said everything. It said, "Art is the incarnation of truth. It penetrates the surface of things to portray them as they really are." So,
As we see them, as we feel them, as we think about how they really are for us. Totally personal, right? Very, very interesting. Thank you, Cathy, for Andrew, go ahead, please.
Just a thought that sparked.
Yeah.
Is that creativity really kind of flows from our intuition, which is there primarily to allow us to answer the question, what does it mean? And so when we're interacting with creativity, we're in the mode where meaning rises to the fore, and giving meaning, to our distresses, creating narratives around them, is kind of the way we come to terms with them.
We've talked on this show a long time ago. Martha, I'll get to you in a second. I had a guest who said that creativity was courageous. I had somebody else who defined it as curiosity. Creativity is curiosity. What does that mean? What do I want to do, to say, to draw, to look like, to speak like? Curiosity. Martha, go ahead.
Well, I used to write to someone who was in prison, who I've never met, but he was in prison for 3 years, and he painted 3 paintings for me. And the first one was a candle in the dark. The second one was a stream in the woods. And the third one was a bright scene with 2 dogs on a farm. And when he got out of prison, he became an electrician. He's doing really well now. But, to see his progression, as you saw the hope, because the very first one was very dark, but it still had the candle. He still had the hope.
When I need to retreat, I bought a house bigger with more property than I should have. I bought this house on Zoom almost 2 years ago. I'd never set foot in the state of Tennessee, and I bought the house on Zoom. And first time I came to the state was to go to the agent to close. And I drove down the street and I said, holy, what did I do? 4 yards. The garage is as big as my entire co-op apartment when I lived in Great Neck for 32 years. It's an 850 square foot garage and a porch. Anyway, the bottom line is that they had a little sunroom, not heated, not cooled, but it still is very pleasant temperature most of the time. I put a little heater in there, a little portable heater. I turned it into an art studio. And my mother had passed away, and I had this gorgeous dining room table, the kind with the leg, not the big fancy legs, but the curved legs with the leaves. Remember, we used to put leaves in? Are we having 8 or 10 or 12 for dinner? Well, this is without the leaves. And I had a great big table I used for a dining room table because I'm more of a glass and red and black and silver person, not a wood person. And I had broken the bottom of this table. So I brought with me the move. It was a 53-foot truck. Don't ask what my move cost. You don't want to know. And 250 paintings included. And I had this great big piece of glass, gorgeous, beveled almost an inch thick. So I said to the movers, put this on top of the table. And this room has windows on both sides. 6 windows goes to the back porch. So my friend came over and we took down whatever they had. We put up beautiful Venetian blinds and I created an art studio. And when I need to retreat, I go in there. I put a bar stool in there. I have the table. I've got canvases. I've got acrylics. I've got watercolors. I've got glitter glue. I've got tchotchkes that anytime I open a can or a box or something and something looks good, I cut it and I save it and I put it in a box. I make my own collage papers. And that's where I go, Cathy and Andrew and Martha. When I really need to just get away from it all, I just go and sit there and see what I do, see what happens. I have a couple pieces here I'll show you later. Cathy, that was quite a creativity spark you gave us about the artwork. See how we go around the table here. This is what I like about my forum is we get to share ideas. So let's go on. We have enough time for plenty more. Martha Burich has sent us a couple of really intriguing statements here, Martha. I'm going to read 2 of them, okay? And you can tackle them any way you want. Number 1, you say, when I walk in nature and hear the frogs, see the rabbits and the deer, it sparks my creativity. And then you say, I feel calmer and get more creative thoughts when it is quiet. No TV, no radio, no social media. That's called unplugged. So Martha, take a couple minutes. Tell us about this. And I'm sure Andy and Cathy will have something to say. Go ahead, Martha.
Well, I don't own a television. I stopped watching television in 2007. I like the quiet, and I don't listen to music a lot, but I do listen. And the quiet really helps me to connect with what I need to know. You know, one of the things about this book is, I think the book was, it came to me. It seemed to be there for me to put out. And that's something that you get when it's quiet, you can think. And so when I walk the dog out, I live on a dirt road, and we go by the pond, and you can hear the frogs hear us coming, so they jump into the water. And at night you hear the frogs bellowing, whatever it is they do. The other day I walked out of the garage, or I was coming back into the garage, and there was a snake waiting, I guess for me to let him into the garage. And I
Not
said,
in my house.
no, hon, no, you're not coming in. You get back in the grass where you belong. But, to see, and the other day I was driving down the road and there was a turtle in the road, and turtle crossing. We even have a sign. Someone put up a sign that said turtle crossing.
That's creative.
Yeah, but he made it. He made it across, because when I came back, I double checked to make sure that he made it across, and yes, he did. So, just I'm so blessed to see the nature and to feel the oneness. I think sometimes we don't realize that we're all connected. We get so aggravated and annoyed with people, but we really are all connected. And there's so much good about everybody. Everybody has good qualities, and I really do my best to look for them. And that helps me also just to have a peaceful existence. One day I was driving behind someone on the road, and they were going slow, and I was like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And I said, Martha, what's the rush? What, if you're in such a rush, pass her. And I said to myself, no, I don't want to pass her. I want to sit back here and be miserable.
We weren't expecting that, Martha.
Because I'm human, and I said, you know what, you sit back here and you relax and you enjoy the scenery, because we go by everything 55, 60 miles an hour. We don't get to see the houses we pass. We don't get to see the scenery, so I said, slow down and look around. Look at the people who are selling eggs. Look at the chicken coops, in front yards, and check for things.
Check for things. Look, don't miss. What is it that stop and smell the roses? Cathy, briefly, go ahead.
I just think that the way that you live like that, being so peaceful and without a lot of distraction and being at one with nature, I feel like you're like a vessel. Like you said, it felt like your book just kind of came to you. I think it probably kind of came through you. And I think you're a perfect person for that to happen. I mean, you kind of set it up that way, really, unintentionally in a way, but I can't imagine how happy the universe is that it's got a quiet spot that it can come through. So now it makes me even more interested in reading your book.
Thank you.
How nice. How nice. Andrew, anything you want to add?
I had a couple of thoughts. One is that when I'm listening to frogs, usually it's in a hot tub, and there are frogs from the creek that are, happily joining into the festivities.
We weren't sure.
And when the bear wanted to get into my garage, it just knocked the door down.
I'll take the snake.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, I have to tell all of you about a little miracle that happened here on my property. I planted I will have been here September 30th will be the day I close. So it's been 2 years coming up in another couple weeks. Yeah, I know. Time passes. And mature plantings everywhere. The former owner, there was apparently almost an empty lot when he moved in 19 years ago. He passed away last year. They sold the house when he got ill, and I bought it one day. Friend said, house, go get. I made a bid, 9 hours on the market. It was mine. I had lost too many bids, and I said, cut the crap, put a little more money on the line, Red, and just get it. And I did. So mature, I have a magnolia tree that puts out leaves that are the size of double frisbees. You could cut glass with them. I have crepe myrtles. I've got maple trees. I've got, you name it. I've got a knockout rose bush that's 8 feet tall. I've got hydrangeas. I've got a hydrangea tree that's 12 feet tall by about 12 feet wide with about hundreds of white snowball on it. Butterfly bushes that are 8 feet tall. Anyway, the point is that this year a miracle happened. Neighbor across the street has zinnias in her front, right by the easement, we call it, right by the front. People have stones and gravel in front of their houses. Well, somehow seeds from the zinnias blew across the street.
Oh, wow.
I go outside one day. I have got a jungle of about 8 different colors of zinnias that are now 5 feet tall against the trellis that I was there against which I planted my tomato plants last year. But the miracle is that the tomato plants regrew themselves from the dirt after a brutal winter. And I have a small harvest of miniature midnight snack. They're black skin and they turn oranges, and medium-sized tomatoes growing through the zinnias. I have to go in with gloves on and a spaghetti server to try and pull the tomatoes out of this jungle against the side. It is gorgeous, but it happened just like that. Now, if that isn't a miracle of creativity and nature, I don't know. But I want to go on. Thank you very much. I want to go on to Andrew because we've got enough time, plenty of time. Andrew, this is interesting. Statement number 4. He said, it is creative to, quote, do arts and crafts, but I don't denigrate the artisan, but to me, there is a higher creativity that rather than honing established paths, breaks completely new trails. So listen up, ladies. This is important. Andrew, I'm quoting him. I decided once to try each of the 5 love languages every day. After several days, I asked my partner about her experience. She started to criticize my feeble attempts, but only 3. She hadn't even noticed the other 2. And the 3 she did notice were all the same type, aligned with her personality, which is dominated by the activity of organizing into sequences. This demanded further inquiry, leading me to find that love is inseparable from psychological type, and there are 8 love languages, not 5. Andrew, I wish we had an hour to explore this, but you got 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Tell us what this means, please. We can't wait, right, ladies? We can't wait. Everybody say, we can't wait, Andrew. Okay, Andrew. There you go.
Wait.
Andrew, you're up. Go.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I actually I tried each of the 5 for several days. And so I had done 15 things. And of those 15, 3 registered, the other 12 just never even happened. And so there are these 4 questions that we have to answer in dealing with our conscious life. The first one is it? And we answer that with the faculty we call sensing. And then the next question we have to answer is, what is it? And for that, we have thinking, which analyzes and labels things. And then the next step is, what is it worth? And that's where our feelings come in. We assign values to things. And then ultimately, we have to ask, what does it mean? Which is where intuition comes in. But each of these, we can use both directed inward and directed outward. And so, for example, sensing directed outward is like paying attention to what we see and what we hear and what we feel through our sense of touch, what we smell. And but internally, it's going through our memories and understanding, all of our past experience. And similarly, at each level, each of these faculties has two different versions. So there are 8 of them, and each one has its own way of experiencing love. And so, for example, this sensor function that's noticing the senses is really aware of the pleasures of the senses, which of course includes sex, but it's not just sex. It's not even just touch. It might be, a beautiful fragrance, a beautiful sight, a beautiful sound. But sharing and enjoying those sensory pleasures is really what speaks to that particular function. Whereas the internally focused one really likes to feel remembered, and feel esteemed, and feel socially connected and valued, and so on for each of them. And so I was once married to my first wife, was a very maybe the most creative person I've ever met, and particularly in the extroverted way, focused outward, the brainstorming type. She was the one who actually came up with the bomber jacket for dogs. And she was also the one that threw me surprise parties all the time. And what I only realized long after is that surprise is what delights the brainstormer. That's what drives creativity, is this love of surprise, this delight in being surprised, in finding a possibility that wasn't there before. So I guess that's kind of how I see that all connecting up.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. Ladies, any quick comments? Cathy, go ahead.
I want your book too.
Thank you.
And Red, I want to come visit you.
Okay. I'll send you pictures
house.
I'll send you a picture. I can put up some background pictures when we're done and show you
Your
the
house.
resplendence of my properties. Thank you very much. I love your creativity statements all of you have shared, and I even more enjoy the roundtable, the conversation, the give and take around the table. Yes, love languages and how you I dated somebody years ago. I've been divorced a long time, and I dated somebody years ago, Andrew, and we started this little ritual, lasted quite a while. Every morning at breakfast, I cut out little tiny heart shapes and put them in a little bowl on the table. And every morning we took one out and we wrote a message to each other, and a love message.
Nice.
And the relationship didn't end too well, but that's something I don't think I've ever done with anybody else. It was just very, very special. It was lovely. And what's funny was when we broke up, it was in Great Neck, New York. It was a very hot summer day, and we'd had an argument, and I had had enough. And I said, we were at the corner of Grace Avenue and Bond Street, and I said, there is no more grace and the bond is over. You go that way and I'm going this way. And I wrote a column I was writing for a dating column in a local newspaper, and I wrote about the corner of grace and bond. Martha, go ahead.
Well, I used to put little notes in my son's lunchbox when he was in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. Have a great day. I hope you like your lunch. What are you up to? Just things like Dad and I love you. You're a great kid.
Love notes.
That means a lot. I mean, in family relationships, I think sometimes we forget about these things, but we forget about them family-wise for our siblings and our children, but also spouses and significant others. I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is to write a note or just really to say something nice.
Just to say something. Speaking of saying something nice, I have a couple things I want to do. We got 6 minutes left, so let me rush through these, and I think you're going to enjoy these, I hope. I have some today in the history of music, modern music and music industry. I have a couple of notable events I think you'll enjoy. If anybody remembers, the Four Lads had a song called Istanbul, not Constantinople. Anyway, that was recorded today in 1953. I'm sure everybody's excited. But more exciting, Johnny Mathis released his first #1 hit single, Chances Are, 1957. how many nights or afternoons did I spend in the basement on the couch with the boyfriend with mom upstairs saying, are you kids listening to music down there? Never mind. It was okay. On this day, the year later, the Crest recorded 16 Candles. I promised not to sing on them. And this day in 1970 at Harvard, Janis Joplin performed what turned out to be her final concert, and she ended it with her version of Gershwin's Summertime. Okay. On this day in 1978, the Commodores got their first hit with the Lionel Richie written ballad, Three Times a Lady, from their album Natural High. It stayed #1 for 2 weeks. On this day in 84, Lionel Richie performed all night long with special lyrics, guess what, at the closing of the 1984 Summer Olympics in LA. And one of the dancers, the backing dancers, was the future actor Cuba Gooding Jr. was a backup dancer for Lionel Richie. I swear, I don't know where I get this stuff. And on this day in 2015, Elvis Presley's second postage stamp was released. The first one was in 1993. This one was a black and white photo by William Spear of Elvis in 1955, and it's part of a music icon series. Today is the birthday of the actor Peter Krause. I saw a picture of him. Didn't look like when I had a crush on him. He was in Parenthood and 6 Feet Under on HBO. Pat Metheny, the celebrated jazz guitarist, is 70 today. Welcome to adulthood. And today is the 49th birthday of Casey Affleck, who is Ben's younger brother. Okay, I have a couple of social media stars we're going to wish happy birthday to really quickly. Don't get jealous, everybody. You ready? There's a young lady named Hope Scope. One word, capital H, capital S, one word. She's 30 today. Why am I telling you this, Andrew? Because she has 4.9 million subscribers on YouTube and 1.1 billion views of her fitness and legging reviews. 1.1 billion. She does mystery fashion box videos, and she only has 550,000 followers on Instagram, obviously a flop. On Instagram, we're wishing happy birthday to Daisy Keech, Keech. She only has 5 million followers. She's a social media influencer, and she models in a bikini and workout clothing. She's got muscles, girl. Okay. On TikTok, we have a gentleman named Jason Coffee, like the drink. He's 44, 21 million fans. He features his family in the videos. He was on Vine, and when it closed, he went to TikTok. And on TikTok, we have a young lady named Grace Keeling, who is 25 today. She has 3.75 million followers, but 252 million likes, Andrew. And one of her most popular videos, she's a British TikTok star, had 12 million views. What can I tell you? Today, in national holidays you've never heard of, it's Middle Child Day. I was the older of two. It's Milkman Day. I don't think we do those anymore. It's National Gooey Butter Cake Day. I have no idea, but I'll bake it for you. It's Julienne French Fries Day. It's National Vinyl Record Day. I still have some. It's World Elephant Day. Spare me. It's Afternoon Tea Week. Excuse me. And it's National Bargain Hunting Week. And August is the month of goat cheese, panini, sandwiches, brownies at brunch, and catfish. And we have 1 minute left. Don't go away because we're going to take some more pictures. Any quick one-line comment about creativity? Wrap up. Kathy, before I finish. One line, one sentence.
It's life. Creativity.
That's good. Perfect. Martha, what's your one sentence?
Creative. Just live your life creatively.
Beautiful. Andrew?
Enjoy the creativity.
I love that. Here we go. In 2014, I closed the show with the top 10 tips for women, and I saved it. And here's the #1 tip. This is for the ladies. Aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. That was 2014, and I still have it before the movie. Andrew, I'll be to get upset. Here are my closing words. Listen up. Life is short. Break the rules. Yes. Forgive quickly. Not really. Kiss slowly. Yes. Love truly. Yes. Laugh uncontrollably. Join me in a laugh, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Not bad. Better than most. And never, ever regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Work like you don't need the money because nobody else really cares. Well, mostly. Dance like no one's watching. When I was teaching disco and high heels on a formica tabletop in a high school cafeteria with 250 students, everybody watched. What legs I had in those days. Oh, my God. Sing like nobody's listening. I tried. And love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart heal. Let it grow back. Let yourself love again. Money talks. Chocolate sings. Love. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Radio Red saying, over and out. Jordan, are we done? I think I'm 30 seconds early. Are we good?
We are clear.
We are clear. Thank you. Everybody wave goodbye to streaming. Wave goodbye. There we go. Wave goodbye.